All right, cool. What's up, bro? Donut in the house, X-Files.
That's right.
I was just gonna start it off saying you have no interviews, right?
No, yeah.
Yeah, we usually do our homework on the guests and stuff, and there's no graph page and there's no interview. Why you don't make a graph page?
I don't know. I try to stay as low key as possible. I don't know. There is one interview. Some hardcore kid in the Midwest made a zine, and he emailed me a few questions, but I don't know how many of those zines.
And it's only a physical copy.
Yeah, it's only physical copy too.
Okay, I got you.
There's something out there floating around, but.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I heard about you a minute ago. I've been seeing your graph forever, and I had a feeling that you were into hardcore and stuff because I think one of the first times I saw your graph, I went to this hardcore, I think 2013, and I saw all near the Electric Factory, your fillings, your outlines, and it got me really hyped. And then I knew that I heard that you used to paint or something or chill with the old drummer of Rude Awakening.
Yeah.
And then, like kids from Anchors Up would talk about like Donut. And how did you get into hardcore? And I know you're straight edge. How'd you get into straight edge?
This kid, Nick Miller, actually, I used to go skate with him all the time at this skate park where I grew up. And he slowly stopped skating, but I still liked our friendship and valued our friendship. So I would just go chill with him a lot at his house. And he started getting into bands and stuff like that. So instead of skating together, I would just chill at his apartment and he would just play hardcore bands and whatever. And I don't know, I just kept getting into that stuff. And I started slowly getting into shows. I think an old girlfriend of mine or someone, it was Nick Miller's birthday party. He has a twin, and they had a birthday party at a bomb shelter. And they invited me out, and I went, and I saw a bunch of kids moshing, and I bugged out. I was like, this is pretty sick. So I started getting more into hardcore, and then Nick became straight edge, and he put me onto a bunch of straight edge bands, and kind of just went from there, I guess.
Yeah, and that was in Baltimore?
No, that was actually in Nebraska is where I'm from.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I'm going to lose a lot of street cred here with that one, but...
I don't know anything about Nebraska. Even geographically or nothing, I don't know anything about it.
Literally smack dab in the middle of the country.
Okay.
There's nothing there. The only thing it's known for is Saddle Creek Records, which is Conor Oberst and Bright Eyes and stuff like that, but...
So what were some of the bands that coming up you enjoyed listening to? Or maybe what was one of the first hardcore bands that you heard about that got you really into it?
Probably everyone starts somewhere, but I guess the first hardcore bands were Throwdown and Champion, which one got canceled, one's not even a straight edge band anymore. Yeah. And then Nick really tried to put me on to Judge and stuff like that, but back then I was really into metalcore and kind of bad hardcore. And it took a few years, but then I started getting into better music and kind of shed that old skin.
Sick. So then, out of all the what would you say are some of your favorite bands right now?
Right now?
Or they don't have to be current bands, but just one of the bands that you always listen to.
It sounds kind of corny, but I listen to Earth Crisis all the time. Vision of Disorder.
Are you vegan?
No, I'm not vegan.
Okay.
I don't eat meat. Most of my friends are vegan, so I do eat vegan a lot, but I just don't eat meat. I did it for a little while, but it's not for me really.
Yeah.
But yeah, no meat still though. I don't know. I change it up a lot. A lot of Earth Crisis though. It's just weird.
Why them? I mean, I really like them, but why them?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I can't really explain it. It's a band that I put on a bunch.
It's definitely an extreme band.
Yeah, it's a very extreme band, which is funny because I think they're not. Their time and place in hardcore was very monumental and very very time era situation with them, but they kind of people kind of make fun of them nowadays, but I don't know, I don't listen to new Earth Crisis, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And in terms of straight edge, were you ever into drugs or anything like that before? Because I know a lot of people who get into it, they get into it because either their friends OD'd or they have family problems or they themselves OD'd. So when they go, what they say, it's easy to extreme getting rid of it as opposed to moderation is a bit easier.
I never had any. I mean, I did like I smoked weed and drank in high school, like most kids do, you know. The kids that I skated with were into it, and I would want to chill with the cooler older kids, and they would think it's funny to get the younger kid high and drunk and stuff. And it was cool. It was like I had a good time. Like I'm not gonna like shit on getting drunk and getting high like as like a recreational fun pastime of like my youth, you know. But as I started listening to hardcore bands, and as I started to see some kids that were older than me like not be able to skate the next day or like really feel like shit or whatever, I was like, man, I don't want to be like that, because I know like it's fun now, but like, you know, you see stuff in movies or whatever, like people just like fully being alcoholics, and like when you're younger you don't really grasp those things because you're just like in the moment having fun. It's like a fun thing, but you know, you can pick up on things. And I started to realize I had like a pretty addictive personality, so like that was around the same time I started like dabbling in graffiti too, and I was like, oh, graffiti's sick. And like I wouldn't skate for like a whole week because I would only go try and like do graffiti, and then I'd be like, okay, now I want to go skate, so I'd skate for a week and not even think about graffiti. And so it'd be like I knew that if I kept drinking I would like probably do like hard drugs or be drunk all the time and like not be able to like function as a person. So I feel like getting into hardcore at a time where I didn't party a lot was like good, because it definitely saved me from like doing a bunch of hard drugs or getting drunk all the time and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was reading an article how you could be straight edge, meaning you could be like rebellious, but also not addicted to like toxic tendencies, you know, because people think, oh, like a rebel is like, you know, like so many drugs, so much booze. It has to be like this certain aesthetic, you know, but like you can be a rebel and be, you know, smart about what you're doing. And what I was going to say about graffiti, I was actually wondering before you came on, like, because in the graffiti world, a lot of people, they do lean towards drugs. They do lean towards like alcohol. So being straight edge, did you feel any type of like tension or judgment from like graffiti writers when you got into it?
You know, it's funny you guys ask, because I knew this was gonna come up. Like I talked about it with my friends before I came here. There's no tension. I don't feel like I look at anybody a certain way, and I don't know if anybody looks at me a certain way. And I don't think about it that often, because honestly, maybe I don't know how many people listening to this are straight edge or not straight edge, but most of the kids I paint with are straight edge, and like most of the kids that I have painted with are straight edge. And I don't know if I continue painting with kids that are straight edge because they're straight edge, and I don't with kids who aren't because they aren't. I don't know if that's like a thing subconsciously or not, but yeah, you'd be surprised how many kids that I do go paint with are straight edge. And like even the kids that aren't straight edge, like I don't like painting with people who are like fucked up, you know what I mean? And like I don't know, it's like even people who party, like a buddy of mine, jet ski, far from straight edge, does not like going painting drunk or high, and he loves to get drunk and high, but he will not paint drunk or high. And I've respected him. He tells me all the things about drugs that he loves, you know what I mean? And like, but when it's time to buckle down and do this, that, or the other, graffiti, work, hustle, whatever, he doesn't get fucked up to do it. He's sober the whole time, but he does love drugs. So it's like when you can make that mental note to not do it to do this, and to do it to do this, I respect that a lot. But I never felt any tension, but I definitely miss a bunch of invites, you know what I mean? Because I'm not at Birdie's, I'm not at Carmelo's, I'm not at fucking Max Fish getting drunk with everybody, and then we go catch tags after, you know what I mean? So I miss those invites pretty often, because a lot of my friends are there at those bars having a good time, chilling with everybody, and like I could be there, I could be at the bar not drinking and chilling and waiting for the fucking 4 a.m. last call to go catch some tags, but I mean, like, fuck, what I want to sit in a bar for all night not drinking, everyone trying to like fuck each other. I don't know. It's like not my.
No, I mean you're not wrong. And the thing is, drugs and booze and all that, it brings the demise of a lot of graph writers. A lot of the graph writers who die, especially at a young age, it's usually because of drugs and booze. How many writers got killed with a shot to the head? It's happened, but not as many as the ones that just you know, they just die like that. And it's sad, man. And also, even if you're not going to die, in terms of, you know, I'm not against like, you know, drinking or whatever. I'm just saying, if you're going to go out and paint and you want to be on point, that is the opposite of being on point. And it's hard for people who are doing it to really, I think, understand what is the threshold of on point. Because they say like, oh, I'm not that bad. But it's like, yeah, but do you want to be on point? You could really be as good as you could be at least just now. And if you can't stop yourself, then that's when you know you have a problem. If even though you know you're gonna paint and you've gotten caught 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 times, and then you still can't stop, then you might not be an alcoholic. You know what I mean? And like I said, it's not like I'm telling people, yo, no drinking 20 at all. But being on point is being on point. When you paint, how is like your setup? Do you care if people see you depending on the spot? How is your lookouts?
I mean, the streets kind of show my style of painting. Like, I don't do that many street side fill-ins, and like I'm not like on Houston and Bowery doing floaters. You know what I mean? Like, I do fill-ins and I do my thing, but I don't know. Like, I'm not like hot boy, but we have lookouts and stuff, and we all do the same techniques that I'm sure most other people do or whatever. It's no secret. I've been caught a handful of times in New York, and every time it's even with the lookout, you know what I mean? It doesn't even matter. And half the time the lookout gets spotted before the kid painting gets spotted, because most cops are dumb, but some cops aren't dumb, you know what I mean? They see a kid standing on the corner. If your lookout doesn't know how to be a good lookout, he's going to draw attention to himself. Then the cop's going to hit the brakes and see you 30 feet away from your fill-in because your boy told you to chill, but he looks sketchy. It's like, your lookout's just as important as like you painting, and that's like common sense. Everybody knows that, but yeah, I don't like painting hot boy stuff all the time because it's like it's stressful. You know what I mean? Like if graffiti's too stressful and it's not fun, then like I don't who am I trying to prove myself to? You know what I mean? Like I painted for a long time, and like I want to do it to have fun, not to like stress myself out. Like getting hard spots is fun. Painting in front of people and being like chaotic is fun, but like not all the time. That's like a handful of times a year. You know what I mean? Put me in like a green board lot and let me do a piece, and then I'll go home. Mm-hmm. Like that might sound soft and like my street cred's dwindling with everything I say. You know what I mean? But like I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like if it's not fun, I don't want to do it. If my friends are like fucking up in the car, pissing me off, I don't want to paint anymore. I'm going home. If too many cops drive by before we even walk up to the spot, I'm done. I'm pussy. I'm going home. You know what I mean? Like if it's too stressful, like what's the point? Mm-hmm. There's always tomorrow. So like don't have a bad time tonight. You can have a good time tomorrow.
Your graph shows by what you're saying, because like when people think of donut, I think like they think of very clean, solid, like fill-ins, pieces, stuff like that. And what you just said made sense. It's like you could tell that you're taking your time and enjoying what you do, because sometimes you can bug out. It's fun, but like you come back, you're like, fuck, it looks so sloppy, or like, damn, I had to run and like lost my clothes, like, like that shit could be fun. But like I feel like when people think of your graph, it's like it has a certain style which is very appealing, to
thank you.
To the
Have
public.
you ever dealt with the Silver Surfer?
The Silver Surfer. Oh, the Williamsburg guy?
Yeah.
I haven't dealt with him.
Because you mainly paint in Brooklyn.
Yeah. I mostly paint Brooklyn. I mean, like, I live in Brooklyn. It's not a secret. I like to paint where, like, I chill. Like, I'm not going to go paint, like, super far away and never see it. I like to see what I paint. I don't know. Like, going all city's cool, and painting in neighborhoods that you don't go to is cool, and, like, being up in places so people know you've been there is cool. But, like, I don't know, you could call it lazy, but I like to see my own graffiti. I like to see it on the internet, and I don't like to look at my phone or, like, look at a group chat. I like to drive by and see it, or I like to take the train by and see it. So I kind of just paint like where I chill or where I'm at. So like, I don't know, you come find me, I guess, but I just paint where I'm at. So but I don't think I've ever dealt with him. No. I think last time my friends Plan 9 and Sweat were here a little bit ago. That was the last time, and it might have been him, but I've heard from other kids that he's not in the same car anymore. He's in like a different car, and this dude had like jersey plates, and this other kid who allegedly ran into him recently, he had jersey plates, and he said it was a rental because I think everyone kind of knew what kind of car he drove. But no, I've never dealt with him, honestly. I've heard a lot of close friends of mine have dealt with him, but not me.
He's pretty good at his job.
That's
I mean,
what I hear.
You know what the thing is that I feel like writers, when they see someone, if the person walks right past them, then they'll be like, they 100% didn't care. But if the person who wants to nab you has any type of intelligence, they're going to walk right past you.
Yeah, of course.
And then call
the cops.
Yeah. They're going to walk right past you. It's not going to be, blandly, hey, I'm gonna go call the cops.
Yeah.
If I wanted to, catch someone, I would do it by surprise, which is
Yeah.
that's what he does, which is why he's so successful. And the thing is, in New York especially, writers become so trusting of the general public, I think, because you have to hit up in front of people.
Yeah.
Unless you're, like you said, green board, law, whatever.
Yeah.
But if you're painting Manhattan or almost anywhere, you have to run it in front of people, which I feel like some people from other cities like bug out when you tell them that, or when they see a video of someone in New York hitting up in front of mad heads walking by, they bug out. And I feel like that's just kind of common here.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like most writers, once your threshold of what's hot goes down, you do it and you realize most people don't care, especially in the neighborhood that you're in. If you're in the lower or something, most of those fools don't even live there. So what do they care if you're hitting up or whatever? And it's just so hectic that, like, how come you never, is it just because you don't go there, you never paint in the lower like that?
I don't like painting in front of people. I know it's what you have to do, and like I have done it and I will do it, but it's like, man, I don't want to get in a physical altercation. Some people just yell. Nobody wants static. You know what I mean? Even people who like do have a huge problem, they don't want to grab you because you're the scary criminal. But like, I mean, like, I don't look like a scary criminal. You know what I mean? Like, I dress pretty nice when I go painting. So if I'm painting, I probably look pretty grabbable, honestly. So if someone has a big problem, they can easily apprehend me. I'm not like a physical kind of person. So I always think about stuff like that, and it's like, I don't know. Again, if it's not fun, I don't want to do it. Like, I don't know why I don't really go to the city too much. I go and chill in the city all the time, but I don't know. Those parking, man, driving and shit.
Yeah. So you mainly drive everywhere?
Yeah, I'm a driver. That's street cred just steadily going down. But yeah, I drive all the time. I hate painting in the winter. I hate parking. I hate driving too, but I'm like one of the only friends in my group that has a car, so.
So you were saying that that you're not a very like physical altercation kind of person. I was showing my homie hardcore or something like that. Me and Daniel were talking in front of some friends about something, some lyrics or something like that, and my homie was like, "Yo, like, why are these people this angry?" And like, what is good? What is there to be tight about? And I remembered you just saying that when you were talking about the bars and stuff, you were like, whatever. I'm not gonna sit there and everyone like trying to fuck each other, and this like kind of hateful. There's like some tightness. You know what I mean? Why do you think you gravitated towards hardcore music? Do you have a type of anger inside, or?
Yeah, probably. I mean, truthfully, if you ask anybody that knows me, like, you get me going, I can talk shit about a lot of things. You know what I mean? Like, I get annoyed really easily. Like, traffic, driving, it's all that kind of stuff. Living in New York is hard. Like, I haven't lived here for a long time, but I've lived here for a while, and like, man, living here is not easy. You know what I mean? There's a reason a lot of people move here and then move away, or people like move here and don't do anything because it's hard to do anything, like doing your laundry, going to the grocery store, going to work. Like, people who work 9 to 5s, like, man, have you ever ridden the train at 8 in the morning in the weekday going into the city? It is fucking terrible. Same thing, been at Union Square at the L train at like 6 p.m. It is a fucking chaotic madhouse. Like, I could not imagine doing shit like that. So like, it's really easy to like be annoyed constantly living in New York, you know? Like, yeah, some people have like really cush jobs or work from home or take Ubers to work or can walk to work, you know, like, good for them. But like, living here is not easy. Everything's expensive, and so it's sometimes it's hard to like not be annoyed. You know, at the end of the day, it's like, I might have even had a good day, and it just ruins it when it takes me 45 minutes to find a parking spot, and I still have to wake up at 8 in the morning for street cleaning. Like, that will ruin my day. Like, it's such a first world problem. Like, yeah, I have a car and I'm complaining about having to move it. Like, that sounds super privileged and like shitty, but everyone has their problems, you know. Everyone has their annoyances, and like, some things just like set me over, and it's like little things that shouldn't bother me.
I mean, it's all relative, you know.
Yeah, everyone has a different lifestyle. Like, I don't know, you grow accustomed to a certain life, and like, when things get changed, it can make you upset. I don't know.
Yeah, of course. So how long have you been living here?
I think I don't know, maybe 6 years, 7 years.
And why did you move here?
Just to do graffiti. I had a friend here. I would come chill with him all the time. We would paint, and him and his other roommate. There was 3 people in an apartment. They hated their third roommate, and we kept making jokes like kicking him out. And I think he just got the vibe he wasn't really wanted it, and he's like, I'm moving. And then the kids were like, hey, do you want to move here? And I was like, absolutely. And I just made the move.
That's what's up. And so you're talking about how it's hard and stuff. So what do you see the benefits of living here? Do you ever plan on moving out?
I have no future plans to move out, but the benefits are like everything that's cool happens in California or New York. Like it's any art gallery, any show, any concert, anything that's like worth a shit really happens on one of the coasts, whether it's New York or California. And it could be Philly and it could be Southern or Northern California or whatever, but it happens on the coast. Like very few things happen in Chicago that aren't going to happen here, or Texas or wherever, any other major city. But it's like I could live in the Midwest again or whatever and like, live a simple life, but then like I'll miss every single hardcore show. I'll miss every single cool
I mean, the New York hardcore scene before this pandemic happened was really good in comparison to
good.
everywhere else.
Yeah, and I've gone on tour with bands and I've seen like local shows at places, and like some of them are sick, and sometimes they're a good time, but like I mean nothing beats like, man, how many like all local small New York hardcore band shows have happened at like Gold Sounds, and it's packed and it's sick, and they're all like small local New York hardcore band. I mean, small to us, like they don't tour, but they might still be big, I guess, based on the internet or whatever. But man, it's like a small show could be the sickest show, and like I would be sitting somewhere in bumfuck Midwest and being bummed. You know what I mean? At least now having the experience of living on the East Coast, it would suck. Like, I don't know, anything that's cool it happens here. So I want to be in the mix. You know what I mean? I want to even if I don't take the opportunity to go, I want to have the opportunity.
Yeah, it's honestly, like you said, it's like I love it, but I also at times hate it. Like you said, I feel like for people who are listening who don't live here or haven't spent, because if you come here on a trip, it's a different story.
Oh, way different.
You're like, this place there's 0 downsides.
Yeah.
That's the thought. There's 0 downsides. It's just illness at all moments.
Yeah.
And but it's like it is, but at the same time, like most people have a 1-hour commute. That's just like a common thing. You tell someone,
anywhere.
yeah, my commute's like an hour. The response is probably gonna be like, oh, that's not that bad. But then if you live in Nebraska or Massachusetts or anywhere and you're like, yeah, my commute's an hour, they're like, are you stupid?
Yeah.
You need to change whatever it is you're doing because an hour commute is just nuts.
For the record, an hour to go 2.5 miles too.
It's
like,
crazy.
Like insane.
Yo.
Like you put in your GPS on your phone, you're like, oh, I'm going to drive Bushwick to Flushing. It's like 4 miles. And you go at the wrong time of day, going the wrong direction, it is going to take you an hour to get there. Driving or train is insane.
Yeah, we were talking about
2
that
miles.
with Gory, like when he came on, how like going to France or going, like I said, to Germany, it's enjoyable when you're visiting, but when you start living in those places, it's completely different. And same thing with New York, like I grew up here, and like when I was younger, I loved this place, like same thing. I thought of all the subcultures, all the graffiti, all the like going to the park as a kid, like all my friends. But once I started growing up and like working a 9 to 5, 40 hours a week, spending 2 hours in traffic every day, it's like it takes a weight on you, like every single day. And the thing is, it's not like one day. It's like traffic is inevitable, and not finding parking is also inevitable. And like
paying for your own parking is $600 a month.
Oh,
yeah,
it's
you get bodied.
Near my house, you can't even find a spot on a fire hydrant, or like in like a laundromat parking. Like people found all the little the little secret spots. There's like literally nothing. It's insane. It's like in too many people, and yeah, I'm surprised you haven't thought of like leaving this place.
Because you just dumped on it, right?
Yeah, I could talk shit on anything, honestly, but no, I love it here. Like having a car, I have to deal with all that bullshit, but then guess what? I can fucking drive to the Catskills in an hour and a half. You know what I mean? I can drive to Philly, Baltimore. I can drive anywhere at any time, and a lot of people can't do that, so they're stuck here dealing with the bullshit and can't avoid the bullshit. I can avoid the bullshit if I want, but I mean.
Did you paint graffiti in Nebraska?
Yeah, that's where I started painting.
How was it here compared to there? Did you ever get nabbed out there?
Yeah, I got caught one time, and it was bullshit. It was total bullshit. We didn't get caught painting. We got caught just walking around. It's like I don't know, you know, anybody that lives in a small town, whether it's even in Massachusetts or New York State, if it's a small town, you know how sketchy it looks to be a teenager walking around with a backpack at 1 a.m. If a cop drives by, you were getting stopped.
Yeah, no one's
New
outside.
York, yeah, no one's outside. New York City or like Chicago, you can have a backpack, walk around all day, all night, no one's gonna stop you because it's like everybody has a bag. Everyone has a tote bag or a backpack, but in small towns they don't. So we were walking to a spot. I mean, we were painting, but they didn't know that, you know. And we were walking at backpacks, stopped us. The kid I was with got immediately shook and just blabbed a little too much. And then they arrested us and tried to interrogate us. Like they took us to like the precinct. I didn't say anything. I don't know if that kid said anything at that point. I think he said too much to get us handcuffed. But after that, he was like, "Oh, now I know. I don't talk anymore." And then they just took us home. My mom was super down for it. She was like, "Oh, you have to shred everything," because I had like, you know, drawings everywhere. My mom knew what was up, and she was like, "Here," and just moved like a paper shredder into my room and said, "Shred everything you have." And I just shredded everything. And then again, of course, the cops came the next day to like try and talk to me at my house. I like didn't say anything. We like sat on the porch for like 10 minutes. They asked me a bunch of questions, and I just like shook my head and shrugged my shoulders, and then they left.
Yeah, I mean, in places in smaller towns, they'll go hard.
Yeah.
And you really, like you said, you cannot walk around with.
No, yeah, it's
You will look
sketchy.
so sus.
Yeah.
And if there's not that much graph, they
just-
will literally catch you.
Yeah, it's shot. It's terrible.
You don't even have to go far, because like in Staten Island, there was examples where people get caught and they literally make the newspaper over there. Like you don't even have to leave the city. You know,
we don't even have to talk about Staten Island.
It's insane.
COVID cases and everything. The place is shot.
Yeah, but
But
yeah. And then in terms of painting here, seeing it from a smaller town perspective, and when I'm assuming you've been nabbed here.
yeah.
What did you see were the main differences?
Honestly, it's like I don't know why cops do arrest kids, because almost every time I've gotten brought into a precinct, the arresting officer gets made fun of by all the other cops for bringing in a graffiti writer. Almost every time they get made fun of. So it's like, what's the point if you're going to get... I mean, I'm sure they have numbers and quotas and stuff, but like they get clowned every time. So I don't know why they care so much, but... And every time they're just like, "Oh, why are you still doing this? Why are you doing this? Like, you're 28 or however old you are. You're too old to be doing this." And they're always so confused, but they still, I don't know. There's not really much dialogue going on, so I don't really know like their thoughts on it versus anywhere else. But
did you face any serious repercussion? Because I know a lot of people just pretty much get almost scot-free.
Yeah, no. I've definitely been in situations where I should have gotten in a lot of trouble, and you know, like in the tags and throws video, there's extra, you just keep saying no, and they'll drag it out, and you just keep saying nothing, wasn't me, and eventually it will go away. They'll scare you, but if they had something, you would be done for it. And if you keep saying no, then it'll eventually go away, you know. So that's what I always play that card in, and you know, I've avoided community service in New York somehow. One time they tried to give me community service, and I asked if I could pay a fine instead. I was like, "I have more money than I do time. Can I pay a fine?" And they were like, "Yeah, how about $100 per day?" And I was supposed to have 3 days, so I paid $300 fine and didn't see community service. But yeah, every time it's like a fine, or like, you know, a lot of times they'll give you like, "Here, you get a year probation. If you don't get in trouble, we'll drop the charge." That's like everybody that gets in trouble in New York has that, and it's, I don't know. I've never really had to deal with anything here. It just keeps getting like dropped, really. Well, because then you don't get caught painting. Your lookout looks sketchy most of the time. No matter how good they are, they're looking kind of sketchy just standing there. And then you're walking away from your fill, and the cops put 2 and 2 together, arrest you. They didn't see you painting, but you have paint in your jacket, or there's a can that you threw in a trash can next to your fill, and they know it's good, so they book you anyway. And it's like you take the fucking, what do they drop it to, like a not even a misdemeanor. It's like a violation. They give you a violation, and then it's like, okay, yeah, no contest to a violation, which is nothing. No community service. You get time served for staying the night in jail the night, and then you get out the next morning. You don't get in trouble for a year, and it's all good. It's like, and I feel like everyone has to deal with that. Some people, you know, bigger names probably get caught maybe more often or have bigger cases because they're up more, and they have, you know, the their lawyers, you pay like a stack or $2,000, and then the same thing, they just had to pay $1,000 to get the same charge someone like me who paints green board lots all the time. And your shit just kind of goes away. You know, you chill just don't get caught for the next year, and it's all good.
What happens if you get caught in the next year? That's my question.
It's like I don't know, it depends. It's like case to case. Like, yeah, it depends on the borough, really. Like, I know Queens cares a lot. Manhattan doesn't care at all. Brooklyn hardly cares. It depends on, like, what you're painting, I guess. I think I've always kind of played by that rule. It's just, like, avoided, like, maybe chilled out for, like, a year or something, or, like, didn't go too hard for a year. But I have gotten caught multiple times and within the year, though, but they were in different boroughs, and I just assume they don't talk to each other. But I don't know.
Yeah, I've heard cases where they I don't know if they make this stuff up, but I have a friend where they told him he's gonna do like a few days in Rikers if he gets caught, and as soon as he said Rikers, you know, it's like in anyone's soul, you're like, oh shit, like I don't want to do that, but
yeah,
you know, like
I don't know. I avoid state property. I don't like to do highway walls. I don't paint like the BQE pillars, and just don't paint like state property. Just stick to like roll downs and stuff. And I don't know. Because I'm pretty sure how it works. What I've been told and what I've kind of put together is, well, when Graffiti Free NYC was a thing, you had to make a complaint to get them to come to your spot. And to make a complaint, you had to have a photo or whatever. So say someone does a buff wall and someone has a hollow on it, they take the photo, boom, it's done. They're not going to take another photo for every tag and fill in that goes on there. So it sucks to go over people. I don't go over certain people, but if there's like, you know, if it's a buff spot that gets wrecked by a bunch of people currently painting, then yeah, you do a fill in on it. But as long as it's already painted, the photo's already taken, the insurance claim's already made, then the complaint that gets filed to the police doesn't have your name on it. It has the first person who painted it. So every fill-in you do, it's not in a police folder. You know, the Vandal Squad's not going around making their own complaints. They're collecting complaints from people and property owners. So I just try to avoid painting state property because that's always a complaint, no matter what. Because anytime the city buffs it, they take a photo before they buff it, and that's a complaint. And if your graffiti is legible enough, they're gonna know. You know, they just put it in the donut folder, put it in the whoever folder. It's like, it's pretty simple. But I just, you know, avoid things that are gonna be obviously like seen by the cops, like state property and shit. And
have you been painting during this whole pandemic? Because a lot of people just free for all, you know.
Yeah, it's crazy right now. The cops don't care as much, and Graffiti Free is done for, and like, yeah, I've heard it's crazy. I've gone out more like since COVID probably, but I haven't been painting very much in like the last year. I don't know. I've been finding other things that have been like more fulfilling, I guess. But some friends come to town and they're like, let's go. And I'm like, all right, let's go. And I go paint. But I haven't taken advantage of it as much as I should have. I'll say that much.
I know some people who have taken a lot of advantage of it.
Oh yeah. And it's like you can't clown them because it's why the fuck would you not take advantage? You know what I mean? Like everyone's painting and it's everything's closing earlier and nothing's getting buffed. It's like, fuck, why would you not? Because some stuff is gonna last. You know what I mean? Like for every 20 fill-ins, 5 are gonna last for years. You know what I mean? For a very long time, not just like till next spring, you know, when they buff it again. 'Cause that's how it used to be. They would all winter would ride because it's too cold and too like wet to buff, and then spring hits and boom, the property owners buff and Graffiti Free goes hard, and it's like every spring it gets whitewashed. But now this shit's gonna ride, and like
it's almost like New York is the perfect city for graph because the consequence is very minimal. There's a train system, so you can literally run into a hole in the ground with a metal tube that will take you somewhere else. And the buff is very minimal. Yeah. It is very minimal compared to anywhere else in America. Other places, you just said that whole 20 fill thing. Yeah. 20 fills, those 20 fills will be gone in another place and in like a week, if not less. Easily. It's almost as if this place was made for graph.
Yeah, I've said it for years. A lot of friends who live in other places, I always tell them, come here. They'll complain about this, that, or the other, and I say, move to New York.
And there's
chicks here, you know, there's anything they're complaining about, girl problems, job problems. You can do everything and anything in New York City. Anything. There's jobs that exist here that do not exist anywhere else because it is New York City.
And like the fact that adding on to the city made for graph thing, and the fact that there's tons of people walking around. Other places people drive, so they might not see that slap. They might not see the doorway like hand style. here they'll see that. And then there's a lot of people taking photos of Graph.
Oh, yeah.
If that's something you care about, there's nowhere else that they document it as much as here.
Yeah.
You could be a king in another city with really amazing style, and people will not know you like if you were just some ordinary guy here kind of doing your thing.
Yeah.
That you'll be known around the world. It's really nuts, man.
Yeah, people, you know, you could be the hometown hero with your own Instagram, posting all your own photos, and then like you're the king because you have sick style. You paint like what seem like 6 spots, and you take your own photos. Or you can be in New York and have everyone do it for you, and you just fucking scroll your hashtag in the morning, drinking coffee, and someone already got your photo for you. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
It's honestly, yeah, you said it best. New York is like literally built for graffiti. It's kind of crazy.
Honestly, I never thought of that until right now.
Yeah, the repercussions are low. The reward is very high. If whatever your reward is in graffiti, everything gets seen by everybody, and people visit. You know what I mean? Like, it's too good.
The state of graffiti right now is honestly like it hasn't been like this in a very long time. I think. Well, one because a lot of old school writers are coming out because they're like, oh shit, it's pretty sweet. You know, it's like it's almost like a Blizzard situation, but it's lasting way longer. You know.
Yeah.
And also like main avenues and streets that never even had graffiti are getting fucking bombed, and they're not even getting cleaned. You know.
Yeah.
Because the owners are too worried about like fucking losing their businesses and their lives and their, you know, fucking giving food to their children. And to like,
I mean, it sucks. Like that $20 for that gallon of paint to buff the gate or buff their wall. That $20 is not important to buff right now. That $20 is going to their family for food or for that jacket or whatever. So everything, right now it's like too good. So all the property owners are not caring about graffiti. I feel like they're not trying to spend their time or money on it.
Now, the times that you dealt with the boys because you got caught, did you deal with VS?
Every time, yeah.
Oh, you did.
Yeah. But it's funny because they'll come. You go to the precinct, and then they'll call Vandal Squad, and Vandal Squad will show up, and they'll be like, all right, blah blah blah, and you raise your hand like, it's me, and they're like, you want to come talk to me, and you're like, no, and they're like, okay, and then they turn around and leave like every time, or they'll pull you out of the cell into another room, try to start asking you questions, and you just say like, sorry man, shrug your shoulders. They're like, you know, I don't want to waste your time, but I'm not going to talk. Like, I try to be polite to them, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, fuck the cops and shit, but like, they're still people, kind of. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you just be like, yeah, I don't want to annoy you or make you mad, but I don't want you to waste your time. I'm not talking to you. Mm-hmm. And they go, okay, cool. And then they just put you back in the cell, and then they call your boy, are you here? And they're like, yeah, right here. Are you gonna talk? No? Okay, cool, peace. And they go back to the Bronx or wherever Vandal Squad's from.
And the times that you got nabbed, did you try to make a run for it?
Sometimes, like hardly it happens that way. Like, cause a lot of times they're plainclothes cops, and if they know, you know, like most of them are dumb, but plainclothes cops aren't always that dumb, and they ride off of being in plain clothes. So like, you say, you know, your friend's like chill, and you walk away, and then this big buff dude comes walking by you and just grabs you immediately and just throws you on the ground. It's like, yeah, you didn't have time to run. You know what I mean? Like, very rarely has like a squad car pulled up, skirts to a halt, and then 2 like uniformed cops come chasing after you. Like, that doesn't happen. Not in my case ever. It's always like you're blazing in front of a bunch of cars because you have to. You get unlucky. The cop car pulls around the corner, and they just come walk around the corner and grab you because you have no idea they're cops. Mm-hmm. You know.
Because if they do try that whole run after you, you're going to scatter like a cockroach.
Yeah. You can almost outrun any uniformed cop. Most people can outrun. You know what I mean? It's the plainclothes jocks that you can't outrun, you know?
Well, my boy was painting a spot near Labor. And we had a lookout. And 2 plainclothes cops, or one of them was definitely a cop. I don't know if the other one was. Walked right past the lookout, and the lookout nodded his head or something at the said like, how's it going, or whatever. They just look like regular people, honestly. Yeah. It wasn't his fault. And then my boy, you know, keeps doing his fill. And then he goes up to the cop goes up to him, and we didn't know he's a cop. And he's like, oh, this dude doesn't care. Like, laughing with his friend, with his cop friend or whatever. I'm just going to assume his friend was a cop. So he's laughing with his cop friend. And, you know, I'm like, oh, it's just people who, like, these boys. I mean, they're just regular people who like, are saying, oh, he doesn't care, look cool. Yeah. And they go up to him, and literally they put their arm around, as he's doing a fill, they just put their arm around him. And he's just like, what's up, man? And then like my boy literally keeps filling as their arms around him, and he's like, check this out, and he shows him his badge.
Yeah.
And then like it's like gate is here and the cop is right here with like showing you his badge.
Yeah.
And then I forget what he said. I think he said like the cop was like, you're coming with me or let me see some ID or something like that. My boy just like shrugged him off, like pushed him off, and then jetted, and then nothing happened.
Really?
Yeah. But it is those like those plain, or like my other friend, he was putting stickers up and they caught him from behind or something like that. They just saw him, and then when he turned the corner or something, there was other ones raiding. So if he did try and run, he would have just ran into the hands of the other ones.
Yeah, yeah. I've experienced. I haven't experienced that specifically, but I've heard those exact stories 100 times. It's like, and it's crazy. Like, man, how many people I've seen those fucking govball fuckers walking around putting up govball stickers every summer. Every summer, I see like a ton of people, and it's like they can get bagged just like a kid putting up a graffiti sticker, and they're so oblivious to it. They don't think that it's illegal or bad. They just do it all day and like get paid for it.
Or the people that start taping the poles up with advertisements,
Yeah,
they stand there for a minute. I'm like,
yeah.
yo, what? Like,
Do you think the VS or the cops who are doing that probably don't care about those people?
They don't. They know that it's illegal and it's all the same thing, but they're just like they know that those dudes aren't doing it maliciously, so they're like whatever. And like even the wheat pasters, you know, like half the wheat pasters even when the cops do roll up, wheat pasters don't run because they're like, oh, they're gonna give you a ticket. They're not even gonna book you half the time. So it's like, yeah, the cops differentiate and they'll treat you differently depending on what exactly is on your sticker that you're putting up.
But speaking of painting on point, it's funny because I remember from Infamy, this dude, freight rider Jace, he talked about how he always needed a drink to like take the edge off, you know, before he would go paint, because otherwise he would like be paranoid of every little noise, you know. And I listened to that as a kid, and I was like, oh shit, that's the way you do it. You get fucked up, you know, so you don't think about the consequences, you don't think about the paranoia, you don't think about cops, you just have fun, you know. But like painting sober, you're truly connected to like your environment, and it's a different type of awareness, I feel, you know. And in terms of your crew, like the people you paint with, do you think you're more aware because you do paint with straight edge people, like they are more on point than, let's say, if they were all like super fucked up? Or how is it painting with like people you know?
I'm trying to think of the people that I know that aren't straight edge that paint a lot. I feel like most people, like, you know, when you think of a top 10 in your head of New York current graffiti writers, I'm guarantee you all 10 of them aren't straight edge. But I have a good feeling that most of them don't go out fucked up. They might have a drink or two, and they might have their like drunken nights, but I feel like even the people I know who love drugs don't go out that fucked up, you know. There's like the bar graffiti guys who bar hop and they do a bunch of tags, and you can tell when they're fucked up, and that's the only time they paint is when they're going from bar to bar, and like they're having a good time, and they're in their own lane, and you know, good for them. But I feel like the top 10 people or whatever list you have in your mind, those dudes aren't going out fucked up, I don't think. They might have a drink or two, like Jace, except I think Jace back in his day was having more than just a drink or two. But I think most current people, even if they do have a drink or two, they're still on point because they're not getting fucked up. But at the same time, there's also all the harder drug kids that that are up a ton and that are like on some hard drugs and doing their thing, and they're in their own lane. And I don't know. I mean, I guess they either have to deal with the cops, or they don't care about the cops and get lucky, or I don't know. It's hard for me to put myself in their shoes, but it's like it can go without saying, you know, if you're on a bunch of drugs, you care less. If you're drunk, you care less. So you put a sober person and a super fucked up person next to each other painting the same spot, and you want to put some kind of like stress level, whatever, like device on them, someone's stress level is going to be a lot lower than the other person's, you know what I mean? So it's like, but they're still standing in the same spot, doing the same spot. So I guess, you know, you can make your judgments at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What's up with X-Files crew? Did you start that crew?
Yeah, me and Bogus started it. I don't know when exactly, maybe 2015 or something. Not super long time ago, but yeah, because like I said, most of the kids I painted with were straight edge or hardcore kids, and like I remember a very long time ago with the first time I met Plan 9 when him and Mike were living in California, and they were going really hard, and they did like the Mile of Mike shoes, and they were doing all those crazy spots, and I thought they were like the coolest guys ever, you know. And then I had the opportunity to meet them, and someone had linked us to go paint, and I was out in California painting with them, and I think think Plan 9 said something like, "Oh, you listen to hardcore? Oh yeah, we're boys, we're down." And he's like, "Yeah." After I became better friends with him, I asked him like, "Yo, why are you so down to paint with me?" Because I tried to get him to paint with some of my friends and he wouldn't do it. And I asked him, I was like, "Why'd you give me a chance?" He goes, "Oh, dude, you listen to hardcore." It's like anybody with hardcore, I give him a chance. You know, we might not stay boys, but I'm gonna give him a chance strictly on hardcore only.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried to adopt that, and I met a lot of friends through hardcore, and some of them were bad at graffiti, but I was like such good friends with them in hardcore, and they ended up getting better, and now some of them are my crewmates. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I try to give anybody in hardcore the benefit of the doubt to at least meet them or like be cool with them. I might not go paint with them or like be super tight with them, but like they're like if I were to ride for someone, two random graffiti guys, and one of them listened to hardcore and one of them did, I'm gonna choose the hardcore kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Everybody in X Files hardcore and straight edge.
yeah,
Like they listen to hardcore and
yeah. One dude, youth CDC. He was like, it was me, Bogus.
And YUTHE.
YUTHE. Yeah, he's the freight guy.
Yeah.
Still straight edge, still in hardcore. I think he went to like the Have Heart reunion show or something.
Did you go to that? I was gonna ask you.
I didn't go to that.
Bro.
No, I didn't go. But he went. So, you know, he went to a show in the last like 2 years. So respect to him. But he's like, you know, he's in a different tax bracket. So he's chilling. You know what I mean? He does graffiti when he wants, but it's few and far between. He's put in his work in his years. You know. Still straight edge, still listens to hardcore. He posted his little Spotify thing or whatever, and there were some hardcore bands on the top most played. So,
I mean, that the Mile and Mike shoes, it was a product of waste.
Yeah, it was
so sick.
Yeah.
When I saw that too, I was like, this is the sickest thing.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. So, just out of curiosity, did you try to go to the Half Heart reunion show, or you?
Nah, I like Have Heart and like the Abuse of Power and stuff was on that.
Yeah.
I like big shows, but. That everything that went around like that the reunion, like whatever they did, like 5 shows or whatever, so chaotic and selling out, like all the tickets selling out, and they did a huge show. It was like in a parking lot, right? It was like concrete parking lot. The first
day, it's crazy. The first show was in Worcester, which was nuts.
Yeah.
It was indoors day 1. And then outdoors day 2. The outdoor one had, I think, 100,000 people who went. Biggest hardcore show in the history of humanity, whatever.
Yeah.
Yo, that was the most... Well, the inside thing was like nothing can ever compare. I think that's going to be the best show I've ever been to in my life. Depends like what kind of vibe you're going for. Yeah. But it was just like the energy in there was crazy. I know that Hey 56 hasn't released the video yet, but they started off the set with Bob Marley. It was like all like the everything was black, and then they started off with Bob Marley, and it wasn't him. It was like a lady singing it on the talking about war. Everywhere is war, and then like the lights turned on, and if I'm not mistaken, they started off with the machinist, and like they started with the drums, and like I happened to be on stage like right when they first started. I was like kind of near the drums, so I'm like chilling, like waiting. Then like when the lights turned on, I'm not even shitting you, bro. You ever been to the Palladium?
No, I've seen videos.
Bro,
and stuff.
I saw like the whole like a massive wave, like, and I saw like people that I knew from Mass who I hadn't seen in years, popping up, and I was like, yo, this is the like kids I hadn't seen in years, just like front flipping over me. Yeah. I'm like, yo, I'm not gonna be able to talk to this kid because I'm probably never gonna see him for another 7 years or whatever. It was just such a crazy experience. Like, it was crazy, man. Especially like. You know, I don't know how, like you said, you're not that into them or anything like that, but...
I mean, I like Have Heart, but it wasn't a band that I was, like, trying... Like, when you think of hardcore, you think of small... It's like a small... Hardcore is not a big genre, so, like, going to a 100,000 cap show sounds insane. It's, like... It's not fun, you know what I mean? Like, sure it was fun and, like, and whatever, but, like... Man, I'm not trying to, like... I love stage diving. I love getting jumped on. I love jumping on people, but, like... I'm not trying to, like... actually maybe die, you know.
You could actually maybe die.
You could actually maybe die.
You really
straight
could.
Up. Yeah, so I'm not that doesn't sound fun. Like even going to Gold Sounds, the tiniest venue in Bushwick, what the Edge Day show, chaotic in there. Like
what, down to nothing and stuff?
Yeah, it's like, man, it's so insane. It's like that's cool because it's small, but even then you could probably kind of die and like but going to like 100,000 show, like going to a hardcore concert is not the move for me.
I mean, their last show that was I think it was in Boston before the reunions, it was just like that too.
Yeah.
I mean, because, I've seen some people at shows, like I was at a Turnstile show and it was crazy packed. And someone on stage straight up snapped their ankle right in half, right? And they're like trying to like remain on stage because they just snapped their ankle. There's a million people, and someone like the people whose job it is to not let people be on stage started trying to push them away, but it was so loud, and the dude's like trying to point at his ankle, but the dude who's pushing him away wasn't having it, didn't really understand, and straight up drop kicked him like 5 times into the like sherm mass of meat bodies.
Yeah.
And I just saw the person just like dissipate into this sea of meat, dude. And his ankle was, I'm not even, when I saw,
stand up.
it was one of those things where like the ankle folds totally the wrong way. I'm positive it was broken, man.
Yeah.
And yeah, you could, I feel like, yeah, I don't think about that either. You really could almost die.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know.
On some getting stepped on and trampled and then fainting shit.
Yeah. Like, moshing, stage diving, I love all of that. That's what makes hardcore genre hardcore. You know what I mean? So I love that. And having that taking away, or having so many people where it's like, again, just like graffiti, if it's not fun, I don't want to go. If I don't think I'm going to have a good time because it's too much, I don't want to go. I watch the video and have a great time watching the video, watching everybody else freak out. I'll still get the same feeling, fucking full screen, put some headphones on. It's the same shit,
I love watching the videos, man.
Yeah, the videos are, even at shows I've been to, I watch the videos.
I watch them and get so hyped.
Yeah. So if it's not fun, I don't want to do it,
Where are the places you've painted around the world?
I've done like the US tour or whatever, and then I've gone to Europe a handful of times. Amsterdam and Berlin.
Was it just for graph?
No, I was on tour with like bands and stuff. But I've gone back just to paint. Me and my friend maybe we'd gone on like a little Euro tour one time, painted.
Any country like stood out to you to the point where you were like, holy shit, I could see myself living here?
I really like Paris and stuff. I like Amsterdam. Berlin was all right. I don't know. Like, I think I could probably live in Paris. If I had to, like, live somewhere in Europe, I'd probably choose Paris to live. But I don't know. It's like they're all kind of they're definitely not all the same, but, like, once you're outside of America, it's like a European country,
Yeah, Paris probably makes sense. Since you said you moved to New York for the graph scene, the Paris graph scene, and I heard it's like, I haven't been there personally, but from what everybody says in terms of graffiti in Paris, it's like the best place, like utopia.
Cool. I didn't paint very much. I was on like some civilian mode when I went, but I painted a little bit and it was cool. I definitely want to go back on like pure graffiti mode, not so much civilian mode, but
don't you think it's very similar to New York?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everyone says that.
It has the crazy New York vibe. I don't know what it is about it, but it really does. Like even other big cities, they don't have that feel to them,
But it closes early. Everything closes like midnight, 1, and a lot of European cities also, like Berlin specifically, I remember, like Sunday, there's nothing. Nothing is open. You can't go do anything anywhere. You can't get food after like 3 p.m. on a Sunday. It is impossible.
The train and there's a barricade that closes. So if you try to run down there, you're going to run right into a barricade and then be trapped.
Yeah. Some of those cities are they close a little too early. That's why I like New York, because you can do anything at any time. Best Buy is 24 fucking hours. That's insane. You know what I mean? Like,
why?
I don't know. I just think of like, how many Best Buys do you know that are 20? Like, we don't have Walmart in the city. You know what I mean? So you can't, like, if you need a memory card, you need a MacBook, you can just fucking go to Best Buy and get it 24 hours.
You know what? There's not that many gas stations.
Yeah.
How many are there in Manhattan?
None. There's some. There's like on the.
There's 2.
Oh no, 1 downtown.
That's
The one with the next roof got gone. Yeah. That one's gone. The one that was by REI, that one was chaotic, also gone. The only one I know of is over by like the Javits Center. Javits Center up in like Midtown, and then there's one on like the FDR. Those are the only 2 that I know of.
Yeah. What about in terms of your style? Like, how did that come about? What kind of influences did you have? Like, first of all, like, who put you on to graph, really? Did you have, like, somebody that kind of taught you the ropes? Or, like, how did that go?
Not really. There was, like, some people from my hometown that were older than me that, like, I wouldn't say they put me on. They, like, showed me graffiti DVDs. They did that. They, like, gave me my first crink mop. That was kind of cool. Because back then I was just stealing silver markers to like write on my grip tape, and then I was just like, oh, I can do a tag with this too. No, I think, I hate to say it, it sucks because like not a lot of people, but some people can like call me an old head jokingly. You know, I'm not that old, but I'm in my 30s, and I got in graffiti I think right when the internet started to be a thing. So, you know, admittedly, I would just fucking YouTube. There's the most brain dead phrases. Like I'd watch like State Your Name and stuff like that, and like Flickr, like Instagram. I don't even know if iPhones existed when I got into graffiti, but
Flickr have mind.
Yeah,
that was the crazy.
Yeah, hella Flickr like pages. That's like what I would go on, and like the people that I would look up to, like being from the Midwest, was like TCI people, like Shock and like Maple and all those guys, and like Aw too. Like I looked up to them. Like my graffiti doesn't mimic them whatsoever. I don't think, but those are the people I looked up to. That's like what got me hyped on graffiti. But as far as my style goes, I don't know. Just like I personally think my style is super generic, and whenever I see people that are like painting the same style as me, I get like tight sometimes, or someone will say something like, dude, this looks like you, and I'm like, bro, I paint the most generic graffiti as it is. They're not biting me, they're doing bendy bar graffiti. Like this is like the basis of graffiti, like bendy bars. Like there's nothing to it, you know what I mean? Just bend the bar a little bit. Just make everything a bar and fucking bend it. That's like my graffiti, you know? So like my nothing about mine is really all that special. So I don't really know if I have like so much of its distinct style, but there's like been a few things here and there I'm like, oh, that person totally bit me, you know, which is kind of flattering and frustrating. But the one thing that sticks out in my mind a lot is something Plan 9 said, which a bunch of people before him have said, and this can apply to so many things in life, but you know, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel, you know what I mean? Like good graffiti is good graffiti for a reason. So just do it good, you know what I mean? Like your name is different, so everyone's name's different. So even if you straight up bite someone else, you're doing different letters. It's gonna look different, even if it looks the same in a sense, you know? So.
And you are going to add your own twist to it as time goes on. It just naturally happens like that.
Of course. Man, have you ever tried to forge your parents' signature? It's impossible to do. It's so hard to do. So it's like you can straight up bite someone so hard. You could do bendy bar graffiti, same color scheme. It's like, oh, that looks like that, but it's not the same. You know what I mean? Like.
No, I want to ask because we haven't even asked anybody that has come on this show yet. I mean, it's not a question a lot of people would wonder, but to me, I'm curious genuinely because it's something I like. Not struggle with, but like think about is sketching. Like how often do you sit down and sketch? Because me personally, when I'm really, really bored, I'll sit down for like 2 minutes and that'll be my style for like the whole year or something, you know? So like, but I know I have friends that literally spend hours. They won't sleep all night sketching a wild piece, you know? So I was wondering, how do you like, what's your take on sketching? I do draw a lot. I haven't drawn a lot lately. Like I said, graffiti hasn't been super prominent in my life in the last like year, but I do draw a lot. I used to draw more, but I do sketch and stuff, and like that's a big thing. I've always been drawn to like artistic kids, even if they don't do graffiti, and and you know, I always like air myself out to them, like, oh man, I'm like a writer's block basically, and I can't think of anything cool new to do or whatever, and this the same thing. Everyone who don't even know each other always tell me like, what are you afraid of doing? Like, why are you so afraid to try something new? It's on paper. No one's gonna see. You can throw it away. No one's watching you. Why? And I'm like, maybe it's some weird personality thing. I don't know. I maybe should see a therapist about it. But I'm afraid to even mess up on paper. So like, even when I'm drawing, I draw the same thing over and over and over again. And I'm like afraid to like, even if I mess up on the piece of paper, that it's gonna be like shot, you know? So I don't know that. I don't never really know where I was going with that exactly, but I don't really, my creative process, there isn't one, you know what I mean? Because anything that's changed in my pieces have been changing like extremely slow rate for a very long time. So I can't really switch up anything ever.
It's like so natural evolution.
Yeah.
It's extremely slow.
Extremely slow. It's bad. Like it takes forever. Like, I'll look at folders of like stuff when I do occasionally take photos, and I'm like, all this looks the same. Everything looks so the same, you know. But
one thing that I was thinking of too is while I was coming home from the gym today, I was listening to Crown of Thorns, and then I was listening to Head Check, and it was like, I am not a graffiti artist, I'm a graffiti bomber, and like the intro, and then it's like Head Check starts, and I was thinking about how there is a hardcore graph connection from that to all the flyers. Yeah. Like, I mean, especially with Crown of Thorns, their albums, like the 7 Train Yard or whatever train yard it is. It's a train yard. Yeah. And like, It's called Train Yard Blues,
Yeah.
and it's a reference to Graff and stuff. And like Danny Diablo, he's like he's a writer, and
Yeah,
a lot of the hardcore crews they have like a Graff aspect to them. And the flyers, a lot of them are, you know, at Anchors Up, there's a dude Clint who would do the illest hardcore flyers, like Power Trip, Rude Awakening, Hammer Bros, Calling Rape, boom. It's
all
like,
hand drawn.
yeah, straight letters and pretty good straight letters too.
Yeah.
Actually, really impressive because any letter and mixing them all and like characters and stuff.
Mhm.
That really hypes me up. That, and then, you know, when you see Mike and these people doing with Product of Waste, or your video you had, what was it, Power Trip, right?
Yeah, it was a Power Trip.
It was a Power Trip song.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's up, bro.
I like the incorporating stuff that I'm about. Like, so there's a lot of kids that think graffiti's this way or that way, and people will say, "Oh, it's not this, it's not that," but they make a graffiti video and it's all rap. It's like, well, do you listen to rap? It's like, yeah, I listen to rap, but that's just like what graffiti videos are. It's like, nah, man, like, so like everyone, yeah, I listen to rap too. You know what I mean? I listen to it all the time, but like, what I'm about, like what my basis is like a hardcore kid. So I want to like like I said, I don't have a personal Instagram. I don't put myself out there. The only way people know anything about me is through the graffiti that I have. So I'll put a Hatebreed lyric, or I'll put a Morrissey lyric, or I'll put like a Title Fight lyric. Anything I'm listening to or feeling, like music related most of the time, is going to be somehow incorporated into my graffiti. That's how people are going to know anything about me. And like when I like get hyped on a graffiti writer, you know, you want to know, you like goes through your head like, oh, I wonder what that dude's like going to the spot. You think he's listening to this or whatever? Like, I mean, maybe I sound dorky or whatever, corny thinking about that stuff, but I always want to know, because like all my favorite graffiti writers don't have fucking Instagrams and don't put out videos, so I don't know what the fuck type of person they are. I only know based on if a zine they put out or if they put a lyric. I'm like, oh fuck, they listen to that band, like that's sick, you know.
The lyric thing is really cool.
Yeah,
it's such a subtle thing, especially if it's a hardcore band. The off chance of you finding that and knowing where that exact line is from is, you know, yeah, it's like it's a very, very subtle thing.
And everyone wants to be like hardcore is a very aggressive and like, you know, a lot of tough guy stuff aspects about it, but there's a lot of like the beautiful ones. All those songs are love songs. Not a single song is about being a tough guy. You know what I mean? You put a beautiful one's lyric next to your shit, like no one's gonna know it's a hardcore band unless it's a hardcore kid. And like, and everyone wants to be tough in in graffiti. Everyone wants to be like the hardest guy. It's like, man, put some fucking like Roy Orbison lyrics next to your shit. Like soften it up a little bit. You know what I mean? Like not everyone's tough all the time, you know? And it's like, you can put yourself out there without like being the toughest dude all the time. I hate that shit, honestly. Like
the tough guy image.
Yeah, I hate it so much. Like everyone wants to be so tough. Like, dude, I bet you 99% of graffiti writers could kill me, beat my ass so easily. I don't care. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't give a shit. But I bet you I've probably painted more, you know what I mean, or like seen more or whatever, you know, like there's other things that make me feel better than someone, and it's not because I can beat their ass, you know what I mean? And like, you know, maybe I should like have heart more than I do because of that, but like
maybe you should like have heart more than you like Earth Crisis.
Yeah, exactly. Straight up, or Hatebreed or anything like that, of course, but like, you know, I don't know, it's like so many people want to be the toughest and hardest dude in graffiti, and it bothers me. It
is very easy, because easy in the sense that since it's an anonymous thing, you could write whatever you want in your fill, especially if you're going over someone, and there's, unless it gets really real, no accountability.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like an alter ego. So if what you've always wanted was to be this undefeatable tough guy gangsterism kind of dude, then here's your shot.
Yeah,
I guess, you know what I mean.
Yeah, go over everyone and write a bunch of,
if someone gives you a mic, you can say whatever you want.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of stapled in time as who you were, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is crazy. I really respect that you come on here and you tell, like, you're just being real, you know what I mean? You're not like, you could easily have said, yeah, this dude came up in the yard and pushed me, so I said,
yeah.
And then he was on the floor, and then I was like, Donut, what up? And then I left.
Yeah.
But instead, like, you just told, you know, you just said what happened, and it isn't like.
I hate, like, I try to avoid conflict at all costs. Like, some people might say that's pussy or whatever, like, and sometimes maybe it is kind of pussy to avoid conflict, but like I don't try to like annoy people. I don't want to step on people's toes. I'm not trying to like do a fill-in over your hollow and let it stick out so that you can have a problem with me. And I'm not trying to like clip your tag so that you don't like me. I avoid those things. You know what I mean? Like if I had previous problems with someone, I'm avoiding it. I don't want to annoy them. I don't want to spark any old problems up. I just avoid it. Like you do your thing, I'll do my thing. We can coexist. We don't have to like hate each other, but we don't have to be boys. And I'm not trying to annoy you, so don't annoy me. And it's all good. You know what I mean?
Everyone should be boys in a sense. Like
everyone should be. Yeah.
it's not like there is a common tie. So there's no reason to be like, you don't have to necessarily be enemies. I'm not saying you should be like boys. Let me rephrase that. But you don't have to be like, everyone is my enemy except for my little team.
Yeah, that mentality is bad. And a lot of people have it, and I hate that.
Yeah.
Like on paper, there's a handful of kids that I should be like the most closest friends with, and our personalities just don't match, and that's fine.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Of course.
But yeah, I'm not trying. I try to avoid problems in graffiti at all costs. 'Cause it's like, man, you got to deal with the cops, the buff, and just doing the spot in general. It's like I don't want to fix my spot, and then like what maybe have to like fight you. It's like I don't want to fight you, but if you come up to me and start swinging, I'm gonna fight you, and that sucks. No one wants to get fucking punched in the face. You know what I mean? No matter how much training or how much you love fighting, and if you're like, you know, all these dudes who are like, I don't want to name names, but there's people who have reputations of being like gnarly fighting dudes. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna avoid them. I don't want to be with them. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't want to do anything that could maybe even closely get misconstrued as wanting to beef these dudes. Like, that sounds like a terrible time. You know what I mean?
think that it stems from, you know, like you said, you were watching State Your Name, and we referenced Style Wars from The Crown of Thorns, and these videos that became historic became almost like a Bible to young eyes, especially out of New York. I think that that's something that people from New York don't realize, how since out of New York you have so much less around you, you gravitate towards this, and that video will really become your straight up Bible.
Oh yeah.
And like
pulling up.
they, you know what I mean? They like, in those videos, you know, I have nothing but respect for the people who did their thing, but you know, it's not a secret. It was a hard image, and they were different times, but graph is changing, and even the demographic of people who do it is changing. Like, you look at legends like Scuff or Nove that we had on. I don't know if you listened to the Nove episode, but he's an eloquent dude, and he speaks really well. He's a very intelligent. If you look at it at that time period,
way
like,
different.
they asked him to describe himself, and he just puts his hands up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like cross arm, he puts his hands up. 3, maybe 10 fights in my entire life.
Classic line.
And then like
J.A. with the shirt off, being ripped as fuck. You know what I mean? Like.
Or like Noxer, he got the.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
What's your favorite night of bombing? He doesn't even talk about bombing.
He's
He
just
talks about beating people up. It's like, that's crazy.
Or like the whole, like with Scuff, he's like, if you go over me or any of my people, I'm going over you for life.
Yeah. It's like, those people I respect. And
no,
like,
of course.
You need that. You need that dynamic in graffiti or in hardcore. You need the tough guys. You need like those people. But there's also the other people. Risk 9.
Risk 9. He says it straight up. Yeah.
It's the opposite. I'm like, fuck, that dude's cool. He's wearing a fucking leather jacket. Calls himself a hipster, and says everyone made fun of him at first. But guess what? He kept painting, and now he's got respect by people.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, just don't step on toes and be your little soft boy self if you want.
And his song was different from all the other songs too. It was really cool.
Yeah, it's like, man, and I'd like and I want to like, and you know, anybody that listens to this, if you're a hardcore kid and you're out there writing like Big L lyrics next to your shit, dude, stop. You know what I mean? Stop. Be who you want to be. Don't be who you think you should be. You know what I mean? Like, and I mean, if you do like Big L, sure, write a Big L lyric. But if you're just some kid who like listens to like Pity Sex all the time and Title Fight, just be a fucking like like a flannel shirt wearing like shoegaze kid. You know what I mean? Just like listen to your pop punk and be a pop punk kid. You know what I mean? You don't have to be like tough guy all the time. It's like there's so many people doing graffiti from so many different places. There are the tough guys. There are like all these kinds, but you can be the soft guy. You know what I mean? You don't have to be this, that, or the other. And it's like people are afraid because then they're like, oh, well, this dude's a pussy. Like I'm gonna go over him. I'm gonna take a spot. I'm gonna chrome his outline out and do a. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, cool. Now you just look like a fucking bully. People pay attention, you know what I mean? If you see someone going over you and you don't go over them back, you're just a fucking bully, you know?
But even, like, take Graph out of the equation. Like you were saying, that altercation with you in the yard. Like, I guarantee the majority of people would rather it have ended in a handshake than fucking night in the hospital. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, which one would you prefer deep down? You know, like, is your
Yeah.
reputation really that? You know, maybe it is. You know, like, graph is a certain thing where people would die for their fucking name, but
Yeah.
you know what? At the end of the day, take away graph, just being human. What feels better? A fucking genuine handshake and being like, dude, like, you know, just having a human interaction that
Yeah.
makes sense.
I mean,
Or like fucking, you know what I mean? A bloody nose in the hospital.
exactly. I mean, almost everything is just a miscommunication almost every time. You know what I mean? And that's why I respected that dude, because he's like, yo, I waited till I saw you, and then we talked it out, and then we'll figure it out. If you want to be a hardhead, we can fight. If you want to talk it out, which I did, and it was all good, you know? Like, it's always a miscommunication. You just, like, don't be the tough guy and start going over them, and don't be the tough guy and swing on them right when you see them, because I have had people come up to me and be like, yo, why'd you clip my whatever, my tag, my piece, this? I'm like, I didn't do that. And they're like, no, you did. And I'm like, my bad, dude. I didn't know. Like, I apologize. I didn't mean to. And if I did, I didn't do it maliciously. Like, my bad. And then it's all good. You know what I mean? You just take that time to apologize or whatever. Or like, you find out why someone's mad at you and you just apologize. Like, if you want to be the tough guy and be like, fuck you, yeah, I did it. Okay, now you fight. You know what I mean? If that's the case.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not. I'd rather just be like, oh, my bad. Unless I did do it on purpose, then we can fight, you know. But most of the time, I avoid conflict, so I didn't do it on purpose. So I don't want to fight you.
Of course, yeah.
You know.
It's always better to, you know, avoid that stuff, because after from Ezek to Charlie to any of the, you know, blatantly hard people that we've had on the show, they through years of experience, it's like, just avoid it, bro, because there's other things, especially Ezek said, there's things in life that you really gotta like worry about, not who went over my fill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And again, if graffiti is all you have in life and that's what you care about the most, cool. I'm not gonna like clown you for it. I'm not gonna clown you for it, because if that's what you care about and you're doing it 100%, then do you. But some people have other things in life that they care about. So if you're one of those people who have other things that you like in life, if your job means a lot to you, if you have a different creative outlet that you also do, and someone goes over your fill, just eat it, man. Do you care? Do you care about beefing with a 17-year-old kid while you have all these other things that you want to do in life? Like, is it worth getting your ass beat and put online by this 17-year-old kid that has a terrible feeling that went over your piece in a green board lot? It is not worth it.
Yeah, like potentially losing your career because you fucking can't even see out of one eye now.
Yeah, exactly. It's like your respect, like, yeah, you're like, you want to have your respect in graffiti, of course, and like you want to, like, your ego might take over, and it's like, but classic pick your battles. You know what I mean? It's some of that stuff is just not worth it. Like, someone's been going over me, like someone went over me recently on a spot, and I was like, man, should I go over this? And
it was blatant.
Yeah, they just chromed my outline out. Like, no, it wasn't scribbled. It wasn't faded.
And you didn't have beef with them before?
No beef at all.
People are crazy, man.
They just chromed my outline out and did a hollow, I guess, through my shit. I'm like, I could go back over, but now, you know, I've heard stories of this dude beefing with these other dudes, and I heard a story about someone pulling up on them with a hammer, and it's like, bro, I'm not getting smashed in the head with a hammer by this dude who's like mad at me for taking my spot back. You know what I mean? Just not work. I'll just do another fill in. Just, there's so much space in New York. Just do a
lot of people want
attention.
attention.
Said it best. Just go somewhere else. Don't go over that hollow or that tag of someone that you respect or like. Just fucking go somewhere else, man. There's so much space.
Find virgin roofs, he said. Yeah.
Yeah. It's insane. Like, people just, oh, you wanted my spot that bad, right? Like, my buff wall spot you wanted so bad that you just chromed my fill-in out. Like, so crazy, but whatever.
Did you like the Hurt episode?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah. He was very well spoken, and I liked a lot of stuff he said.
He was sick. I was so hyped on that.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, but yo, man, thank you for coming on the show.
Of course, thanks for
Hope
having
people
me.
enjoy this, and I think like I said, I think it's the only donut interview, if you want to call it an interview, whatever, other than that one in the zine that they're all gone now.
Dude,
so
yeah, there's probably like 30 made, and I don't even know who has them. But yeah, thanks.
Yo,
for
we're
having me.
honored to be your first interview, man.
Yeah, for real.
Thank you for coming out.
For
Peace.
Sure. Later.